Welcome to your Lansing Connection. I'm Senator Nancy Cassis, very pleased and privileged to represent the citizens of the 15th Senate District, most of western Oakland County. As you know, each month I try to bring someone to you who can inform you about what's going on. And today, more than ever, I think it's important for us to set the stage for what is happening here in Michigan, Michigan's crisis in the economy, the budget troubles that we are going through in Lansing. And there's no one better, I think, than to inform you in a bipartisan, objective manner than my guest today. He is with the Senate Fiscal Agency. He's one of their top economists in this agency. And the role of the Senate Fiscal Agency, along with its counterpart, the House Fiscal Agency, is to provide support staff to the Senate Appropriations Committee and all Senate members, Democrats and Republicans alike. The Senate Fiscal Agency also provides analyses of fiscal impact of all our bills. They help in drafting bills like the Business and Economic Stimulus Tax Plan that I have introduced to replace a single business tax. They provide us with the data we need to formulate bills that will grow this economy. And they also provide detailed projections, very important, detailed projections of Michigan and U.S. economies to help us forecast state revenue collections. And in May, we will be going through that process again of trying to predict where Michigan's revenues will be in the next coming year so that we have a better handle on what the budget can look like. I'm pleased now to introduce you to a person I work closely with, Jay Wortley, Senior Economist for the Senate Fiscal Agency. Welcome.
Thank you, Senator.
It's really good to have you with us, Jay. Jay, you were telling me a little bit earlier about how long you've been with the Senate Fiscal Agency. Would you please share that with our listeners?
Sure. I've been with the Senate Fiscal Agency for about 16 years now. And prior to that, I worked for the Department of Management and Budget and State Government for about 13 years, so I've been with state government for quite a few years now.
You certainly have, and I think you're in an excellent position to kind of update us and give us background on our current economic situation. In the past, we've seen cyclical downturns, but then upswings in the early 1980s when I first moved to this district, for example, and we bought a house. We were paying 18 or 19% in interest.
Ouch.
It was an ouch, believe me. And then again in the early 1990s. But now what we're going through since 2000 and 2001 seems to be very different and even more difficult than anything we've faced before. Can you explain Michigan's one-state recession to us?
Sure. We are going through some very difficult times right now, and very different, you're right, very different from what we've gone through in the past. In the mid-'70s and early '80s, we had severe recessions that were cyclical. Mm-hmm. The national economy went into a recession, Michigan went into a recession. Things fell drastically and steeply in terms of our employment and our income growth. But then we came back pretty fast as the economy pulled out of the recession. Those are cyclical type of economic movements. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But now, what we're going through now is totally different. It's not cyclical. We're seeing steady declines in employment. much different than the U.S. economy. The U.S. economy is still being basically cyclical. We had a recession in the early 2001, and Michigan fell into the recession. In 2002, 2003, the national economy pulled out of the recession. Since then, nationally, employment has increased by over 5%, and the national economy has generated over 7 million jobs since then. In Michigan, just the opposite has occurred. We peaked in June of 2000 in terms of our employment level, and we've continued to drop ever since then. We have now lost over 8% of the workers we had in 2000. That's almost 400,000 jobs that we don't have now that we had in 2000.
Did you say 400,000?
400,000. That's just
Stunning.
stunning, yeah. Almost can't comprehend it. I mean, that's a huge number. And in the manufacturing sector, which is our primary reason we're having these problems, the decline has been even more dramatic. We have lost almost 1 in 3 jobs that we had in June of 2000. So that's just a phenomenal decline.
I think, if I'm correct, given the unemployment figures you're talking about, and now we're always going back and forth with Mississippi, that's not an envious state to necessarily want to be in competition for the highest unemployment rate, but we're about at 6.6%. But of that number of jobs that have lost, is it accurate to say about 1/4 of all the manufacturing jobs in the United States were lost right here in Michigan?
It's right around there. Because again, manufacturing is suffering all over the country. But Michigan is so dominated by manufacturing that it's just hitting us a lot harder than anywhere else.
When we talk about manufacturing, we talk primarily, it seems to me, especially because Michigan is known, and we prided ourselves as the automobile capital of the world, that especially hard hit were our big 3 domestic car companies, Ford, GM, and Chrysler.
Right.
And you can't help but open up a newspaper today and not see that they're still really dealing with a lot of structural problems within that industry. And as a result, something like 1 job lost in the auto industry, from what I have gathered, affects about 7 more jobs down the line. So in many ways, if you work for a supplier of an auto company or something related to the automobile industry in any way, you may see some jobs being lost, your own, in fact. And that has created a great deal of anxiety.
Right.
Then upon this, we also learn that individuals who are uncertain about their future, whether they're going to have a job, they tend to restrict their spending. They really begin to eat at home more, purchase less, and so on. And all that has a huge impact on our sales tax here in Michigan that's used to primarily fund the schools.